Fu Hao, the first woman to command an army. The warrior queen buried with her weapons. Night falls over ancient China. Bronze bells echo across the royal city. Priests kneel before fires. Ox bones crack beneath the heat. Every fracture carries a question. Will the harvest succeed? Will the king survive? Will the army return victorious? The ancestors are listening, so everyone believes. Among the flickering flames stands one remarkable woman, not dressed like a servant, not hidden among the royal wives, standing beside generals, standing beside kings. Her name is Fu Hao. Thousands of years before Joan of Arc, thousands of years before Boudica, before history remembers warrior queens, Fu Hao is already leading armies. She commands thousands of soldiers, conquers enemy kingdoms, leads royal ceremonies, and helps shape one of the greatest civilizations of the ancient world. For more than 3,000 years, her name disappears, almost completely forgotten. Then, archaeologists make an astonishing discovery, an untouched royal tomb. Inside, weapons, battle axes, armor, treasure, and inscriptions proving that the legendary warrior queen was real. You can almost hear the sounds of the Shang dynasty. Bronze hammers ringing against molten metal, horse-drawn chariots racing across dusty plains, massive city walls rising above the Yellow River. This is one of humanity's earliest great civilizations. Its rulers believe heaven speaks through ancestors, kings rule by divine approval, religion and government are inseparable, war is constant. Neighboring tribes challenge Shang authority from every direction. Victory means survival. Defeat can destroy an entire dynasty. Into this dangerous world enters Fu Hao. Little is known about her childhood. History leaves us almost no details. That silence makes her later achievements even more extraordinary. She eventually becomes one of the many wives of Wu Ding. Most royal wives remain inside the palace, managing ceremonies, producing heirs, supporting the court. Fu Hao does something no one expects. She earns the king's trust. Not through beauty, not through family connections, through ability. Again and again, Wu Ding entrusts her with increasingly important responsibilities: religious ceremonies, diplomatic missions, military planning. Then, something unprecedented happens. The king places an army under her command. Not a ceremonial guard, not a handful of palace soldiers, an army numbering in the thousands. Imagine the reaction. Bronze Age generals, taking orders from a woman. Some surely doubt her, others quietly laugh. They stop laughing after her first victories. Campaign after campaign, Fu Hao defeats neighboring enemies. She marches against powerful tribes, captures strategic territory, expands Shang influence farther than ever before. Ancient inscriptions record her victories with remarkable pride. One campaign reportedly places more than 13,000 soldiers under her command, an enormous force for the Bronze Age. She becomes one of King Wu Ding's most trusted commanders. Not because she is his wife, because she keeps winning. Soon, her reputation spreads across ancient China. Warriors respect her. Priests consult her. The king relies upon her. Enemies learn to fear her. The woman history almost forgot has become the greatest general of her age, and her greatest victories are still ahead. The first victory surprises everyone. The second victory earns respect. The third victory creates a legend. Campaign after campaign, Fu Hao keeps winning. She marches farther than any royal wife before her, across rivers, through forests, over dusty plains where rival tribes have challenged the Shang dynasty for generations. She is not following another general, she is the general. Imagine standing in the Shang army, bronze helmets gleaming beneath the morning sun, horse-drawn chariots lined across the valley, thousands of soldiers waiting in complete silence. Then, their commander arrives, not a prince, not a king, a woman. And no one questions her authority, because by now, she has earned it. Ancient inscriptions tell us that Fu Hao personally led campaigns against some of Shang's most dangerous enemies, the Tu Fang, the Qiang, the Ba, groups that had resisted Shang rule for years. Some had defeated previous commanders. Fu Hao changes that. She attacks quickly, coordinates multiple armies, uses speed before her enemies can unite. One campaign becomes especially remarkable. King Wu Ding places nearly 13,000 soldiers under her command. For the Bronze Age, that is an enormous force. Entire kingdoms fielded fewer warriors. The king is risking one of the largest armies in China on his wife. He clearly trusts her completely. The gamble pays off. Fu Hao crushes the enemy alliance. Victory after victory strengthens Shang authority. Trade routes reopen. Border settlements become safer. Neighboring rulers begin thinking twice before challenging the dynasty. But Fu Hao's influence extends far beyond the battlefield. She serves another critical role: high priestess. Religion in Shang China is not separate from government. It is government. Before every important decision, the king consults the ancestors. Priests prepare oracle bones, usually the shoulder blades of oxen or turtle shells. Questions are carved into the bone. Will the harvest succeed? Should the army attack? Will the queen return safely? The bones are heated until they crack. Those cracks are believed to reveal the ancestors' answers. Fu Hao oversees many of these sacred ceremonies herself. Think about what that means. She commands armies, leads religious rituals, advises the king, owns vast estates, supervises workers, receives tribute from conquered lands. She is not simply a queen, she is one of the most powerful people in the entire kingdom. Few women anywhere in the ancient world ever hold so much authority. Her influence reaches nearly every part of Shang society. Military, religion, politics, economics, royal government. It is extraordinary. Then, without warning, everything changes. Fu Hao dies. Historians do not know exactly why. Illness, complications from childbirth, natural causes. The ancient records remain silent. What is not silent is King Wu Ding's grief. The powerful king mourns openly. He orders elaborate ceremonies, makes repeated offerings to the ancestors, prays that Fu Hao's spirit will continue protecting the kingdom. Even after her death, he asks for her guidance before major military campaigns. That tells us everything about the respect she commanded. He still trusts her, even beyond the grave. To honor her, Wu Ding prepares an extraordinary burial, a tomb unlike almost any other, filled with magnificent bronze vessels, jade ornaments, ivory carvings, cowrie shells used as currency, weapons, dozens of bronze battle axes, daggers, spears, the tools of both a queen and a conqueror. Then the entrance is sealed. Century after century passes. Dynasties rise, dynasties fall, empires replace kingdoms. Fu Hao's name slowly disappears beneath the dust of history, until one astonishing discovery changes everything. More than 3,000 years later, archaeologists begin excavating the ancient Shang capital. What they uncover will become one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in Chinese history: an untouched royal tomb, waiting exactly where the war queen had been sleeping all along. For over 3,000 years, no one knows where she rests. Empires rise, empires collapse, cities vanish beneath layers of earth. The mighty Shang dynasty becomes legend. Even Fu Hao herself slowly slips into myth. Historians read her name on ancient oracle bones. They know she existed, but they wonder, where is she? Where is the woman who commanded armies? Where is the queen who advised kings? Where is the conqueror who terrified rival kingdoms? Then, in 1976, archaeologists digging near Yinshu make an astonishing discovery: a sealed royal tomb. Unlike so many ancient burials, it has never been robbed. No thieves, no looters, no empty chambers. The moment they break through the entrance, time stops. The air inside has remained undisturbed for more than 3,000 years. Dust settles over treasures no living person has ever seen. Every brushstroke uncovers another piece of history. Bronze vessels, jade ornaments, ivory carvings, thousands of cowrie shells, exquisite ritual objects. Then, the weapons. Massive bronze battle axes, spears, knives, arrowheads. Military equipment unlike anything ever discovered in the tomb of a royal woman from that era. The archaeologists immediately understand something extraordinary. This was no ordinary queen. Then, they discover inscriptions. A single name appears again and again: Fu Hao. Suddenly, history changes. The legendary commander is no longer simply mentioned in ancient texts. She has been found. Exactly where King Wu Ding buried her over 30 centuries earlier. The discoveries continue. More than 200 bronze ritual vessels, hundreds of jade artifacts, thousands of precious objects. The wealth alone reveals her enormous importance. But it is the weapons that capture the world's imagination. A queen, buried like a general, not because later generations imagined her that way, because the people who knew her believed that was exactly who she was. Even today, historians consider Tomb M5 one of the greatest archaeological discoveries in Chinese history. For centuries, many assumed stories about powerful women leading ancient armies had been exaggerated. Fu Hao proves otherwise. The evidence lies beneath the earth, cast in bronze, carved into bone, written by people who served beside her. Think about what she accomplished. She commanded one of the largest armies of the Bronze Age, expanded the Shang kingdom, defeated rival tribes, led sacred religious ceremonies, advised one of China's greatest kings, governed vast estates, and became one of the most powerful women anywhere on earth. More than 3,000 years ago, long before Rome, long before medieval Europe, long before most of the women history usually celebrates, Fu Hao was already proving that leadership belonged to those capable of earning it, not simply those born male. Today, visitors walk through museums in Anyang and stand before her battle axes. They see the jade she once wore, the bronze vessels used during ceremonies she led, the weapons she may have carried into battle. These are not replicas. They are the real objects, the silent witnesses to a life that almost vanished from memory. Perhaps that is Fu Hao's greatest victory. Not defeating rival kingdoms, not expanding an empire, but defeating time itself. For thousands of years, the earth protected her story. Then, one day, it gave her back to the world. So we leave Fu Hao here, standing atop a Bronze Age chariot, her bronze battle axe catching the first light of dawn. Thousands of warriors waiting for a single command. The ancestors watching from above. And one extraordinary woman leading an army into history. If this story stayed with you, if you were amazed that one of history's earliest great generals was also one of its greatest queens, don't stop here. There are more women like Fu Hao, women whose names were buried beneath centuries of dust, only to rise again and remind us that courage, intelligence, and leadership have never belonged to one gender alone. Stay dangerous, stay loud, and never let them hold the pen.